but they are missing many essential nutrients: B12, D3, K2, retinol, which is vitamin A, DHA, EPA. We touched on those. Those are the essential omega-3s that you have to have, that you cannot get from plants. And we don't really make them well ourselves. We need them from the food that we eat. Retinol, vitamin A, people think, well, what about beta carotene? Can't you turn that into vitamin A? Yeah, but only 55% of people can. Fully 45% of human beings cannot convert beta carotene into retinol. They have to get it from meat. You can't get it from anywhere else. So what does that mean? That means we have to eat meat, right? We have to eat it to get B12 too. That doesn't exist. D3 doesn't exist. Well, vitamin K, we get that from kale, right? Vitamin kale, no. Kale has K1, and just like ALA, that's an omega-3, but it's not the right omega-3. K1 is not the right vitamin K. We need K2, and we can't really convert K1 into K2. So we need it again from our meat. So any nutritionist, and this is sort of the crux of this discussion, any nutritionist who advocates for a plant-based diet or even a plant exclusive diet is ignoring those fundamental facts. They're recommending a diet that is fundamentally deficient in basic nutrients. How can you call yourself a nutritionist if you're advocating for a diet that is devoid of nutrients? How can you say that that's an optimal diet, that that's a good diet, or even an appropriate diet for anyone at any stage in life if it is fundamentally deficient in nutrients? But the problem is they do. A lot of people do, and a lot of these colleges of nutritional sciences advocate for a plant-based diet. One of the reasons we have these dietetics associations, and they argue for plant-based diets. They say that the healthy benefits of a vegetarian diet, and they even say that it was a well-designed vegan diet should be the best diet for you. And yet they recognize, well, you do have to be careful with B12, D3, K2, vitamin A, iron, and all these other sorts of things. But if you take care of those and you supplement, it should be fine, which is a bit ridiculous for a nutritionist and a nutritional body to suggest that. And they'd also say about the low carbohydrate diet, this is a fad diet, there's no scientific evidence, and yet there are thousands, literally thousands of studies in humans showing the benefits, the medical benefits of a ketogenic diet in humans. And they've actually had to change that recently, because now a ketogenic diet is in the national schedule for diabetes treatment in Australia. It's part of the guidelines, right? So they had to sort of walk that back. But you see the sort of the biases, right? They basically they show no evidence for why a low carbohydrate diet is a fad, but then they say a vegan diet, which is nutritionally devoid, that this is a good diet for these reasons. And they listed previously, before they took this down, they listed 4 studies. Every single one of those studies was actually funded by or written by someone from Sanitarium Foods, someone from the food companies, or someone from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Majority of these studies come from compromised sources. A lot of them will come from processed food companies that are trying to push their own agenda. Coca-Cola alone spends 11 times the amount of money on nutritional research every year than the NIH, the National Institutes of Health in America. That's just Coca-Cola. There's Nestle, there's Pepsi, there's Kellogg's, there's Sanitarium, there's all these other sorts of food companies. They're all pumping out research. They're all funding research. They're all paying universities to do research. Okay, so the majority of these research studies are biased.